What's up, everybody? Devin the Bear here today with Houston Strength Gym owner Jordan Leason.
How's it
So,
going, guys?
how you doing today, man?
Doing great,
So,
doing great. Happy to have you all here.
for sure, man, we're more than happy to be here. We've been talking about it for since pretty much it was set in plans we were going to be doing this with you. We've been like planning everything around like making sure we're here. So thank you again for having us.
Of course, of course.
Pretty much we're here today just kind of talk about you, talk about your story, talk about like
Sure.
what's gotten you here, and talk about the athletes that you train with as well. So I guess we'll start off just chronologically. So where did your passion for strength and conditioning start?
Definitely playing football in at the high school level was when I really got into lifting. And a friend of mine, we'd work out at school and then we'd go to 24-hour fitness after school and work out some more. Initially, it was just more of an aesthetic thing. That was when Ronnie Coleman and all the big bodybuilders were on the scene, and everybody was just trying to get huge. And as I got deeper into school and sports, it's a necessary part to improve performance.
Right.
And then in college, quit playing sports and kept lifting. I actually got a job in a gym selling memberships, and I got really good at it. And I was a full-time student, and I was working over in the med center at the LA Fitness over there.
Okay.
And thought I would make more money getting into personal training. And at the time, I was a business major, and then I shifted my major to kinesiology over at U of H and continued working in the gyms all the way through school. And then it just bridged into eventually starting my own gym. I bounced around. I was at LA Fitness to 24-hour fitness. I worked at Houston Gym over in the Heights. So the path that I took taught me how all the bigger guys ran the gym, and I took what I liked and what I didn't like from the different gyms and went out on my own. So I started as an independent contractor out of a gym called Misfit Strength over in the Heights. I was there for a little over a year, and then the way the structure was there, I'm paying rent to the gym and per client as well. So once I got really busy, it became more efficient for me to just go get my own space.
Right.
And so I broke off, still on great terms. I consider Byron over there a mentor. I just called him last week to help me with some stuff, and appreciate and respect everybody over there. It just kind of snowballed over here. I forgot to mention, I was already training out of my garage, and so I have my little picture up on the wall there. I just had a squat rack, a bike, some kettlebells, and was just training a handful of people, and then had all my other clients over in the Heights. And then I moved everything over here, and we're on year 6 now. Year 7, sorry. We just completed year 6
Really?
of the gym, yeah. So 7 years of Houston Strength.
Damn, going on almost 10 years. That's awesome.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So pretty much like, I know you brought up your friend Byron. That was kind of your mentor. Did you have any other mentors when it came to strength and conditioning and opening up your own gym, or, clientele building and stuff like that?
Oh, definitely. So starting out, Louis Simmons, who just passed away actually, Westside Barbell. So he took the Russian methods, and I know controversial at the time, but
Yeah.
he took the Russian methods. And in strength and conditioning, there's 2 main schools of thought. You have the Chinese methods of linear progression, which is where it takes it slow. You just slowly progress, and it's usually on a yearly basis. You'll revisit maxing out. And so you get your max work percentage-based stuff for a year, whereas the Russian methods, they do it in cycles. And so it's usually going to be, I run smaller cycles here, but they would do it at like 3-month cycles, and you're going to have phases within those cycles. Then you go back to phase 1 again. And so it's more varied with the Russian methods, and that definitely influenced me a lot, because from a business standpoint, do the Chinese method or that linear progression, does
Right.
that work? Absolutely, but it's boring. You're going to be doing the same thing over and over again. And from a client retention standpoint, I'm going to lose people eventually they're going to be like, hey, we did the same workout for the last 7 weeks. Why am I paying you?
Yeah.
I can go do it on my own. They're probably going to master it by that point. So for the element of variance, and then especially working with athletes where you might not have a year to prepare. So fighters specifically, I usually get guys with 8 to 12 weeks, and that's generous. So I've had to learn to condense things to provide a stimulus for adaptation. So, we're in here to improve performance, durability, and longevity, and not just pound them in the gym to the point where they're not going to be able to practice where it matters, which is going
Right.
to be, either whether it's on the field or in the cage for these guys. So it's making sure this is supplemental to the training that they're already doing. And, the thing I love about my gym, we're working with high performers. It's not, and I say that from every end, I've got my athletes, but then, I've got guys that are, executives. They're going to come in, train with me 5 a.m. and go fly to Denver for a meeting, then come back and go to their kid's baseball game. And it's very inspiring to work around people just achieving at a high level in every aspect of their life. And I strive to do the same.
And so with everybody that you meet, I know you meet a lot of people and you work with a lot of people. Like, do you ever take a little bit of that person like with you to help you build yourself as well as a business owner, but also as a person?
Absolutely. To tie it with martial arts, it's having that white belt mentality.
Yeah.
You can always learn from anybody, and you can learn from other people's mistakes. I've learned more than anything.
Yeah.
I've had clients that have made financial mistakes that, I'm not in a financial position to even think about, but I know that if I get there, hey, it's so and so had a rough time with that. Maybe I shouldn't do that,
Yeah.
and I'd like to branch out of the gyms and get into investing later in life. I'd like to create an income that doesn't require me being on the gym floor 12 hours a day.
Right.
But, I love what I do, and I don't see myself doing anything else in the short term. So just trying to get to the top, and in order to get to the top, you have to take help. You can't just go your way. My way got me to a certain point, and then I had to have that step back and realize there's people that are doing better than me. What are they doing? And take what works from them and, put my little twist on it.
Yeah. Be like water,
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you had mentioned that from the gyms that you had started with, that you took some things from them and then made it your own. What were some of the things that you took from them, and what are things that you kind of come up with on your own?
Sure. So the biggest thing I learned when I left my garage and took on a staff, so I started with 2 trainers, and they're both still with me here since day one, and I appreciate them. But because it's probably been pretty hellacious for them along the way, because I'm a terrible manager. So from 24 Hour Fitness, the main thing I took was the structure into different departments. So you had operations department, which in a big gym, that's your front desk staff, your janitorial staff, your maintenance staff. That's one department, operations. Then you had your sales staff, which is just membership sales. They're just trying to drive people in to sign up for that $40 a month membership. Then you had your personal training department, which was your personal trainers, and you'd have a training director. And I don't have an operation. We're just I didn't talk about that, but we're only trainers here. So there's no janitor, there's no maintenance guy. That's usually me. I'm still cleaning the toilets here, and I don't mind doing it. But that allows me to pay my trainers more because I don't have to pay out a support staff. But then at LA Fitness, they had an additional department, and that was training sales department. So if you went to LA Fitness and you're interested in personal training, the guy you're seeing, he may have been a trainer at one point, but there were people there that weren't even personal trainers. They were just salesmen, and they're taking you through your introductory session. And that was something that is I'm a little sour on because I think it's important. Our assessment process here is very thorough. And that's something that, I've learned from other coaches along the way. And you have to do continuing education to maintain certifications so that you can have insurance. So we're always doing workshops in here. We got to do 20 hours every 2 years. So, I've been doing this for 13 years. So I've done a lot of certifications over the year and taken stuff. But we do have a very thorough assessment process that might be something we talk about later. But just making sure we're screening the client and pairing them up with the best trainer or coach for their goals and their schedule. Because if somebody wants to come at 5 a.m. and one of my coaches is only available in the evening, I'm not even going to mention them. We got to that's a big part of what I'm doing here is screening incoming clients, trying to siphon them to the right trainer for their goals and availability. And then I guess another takeaway from the other gyms, I learned how to sell in the gyms, and at the end of the day, this is a sales. I'm selling an intangible thing. You know, I'm selling
Yeah.
a service, and I'm asking for the trust that I can help these people achieve their goals. And I feel like, you know, I've been doing this long enough. I have enough references to where I'm in a position now where it's easy. You know, I can say, oh, well, look, you know, I got my wall of all my fighters. You know, I've got guys that have played in the MLB. I've got guys that have achieved, you know, Division One, Division Two, Division Three NCAA careers. You know, I've got the resume now. But when I started out, it was, you know, hey, I'm Jordan. You know, I was always in decent shape. I'm probably in the worst shape I've been in a while, but you know, I'm Jordan. I can get you in shape. Trust me. And you know, I had to learn that skill of selling. And 24 and LA Fitness do a great job of developing trainers to be able to sell the service that they're providing.
Right.
And that was something that, you know, I've had guys come in here that have no sales background, you know, and they're great trainers. They might have been great athletes, but you're gonna drown, you know,
Right.
because it's sink or swim in here, man. And if you can't keep up with, at the very least, keep up with the schedule that I'm gonna provide to you as a coach, you just won't make it, because it's not. We can't just pull people off the street here. I mean, I'm sure you guys pulled up here. You got to know where you're going if you're coming here. We're in the back warehouse of a gated complex on a back street. You know, I don't have any street visibility. Yet we're one of the busiest gyms, definitely the busiest training gym in the neighborhood. Yeah, but it's been a ride. Definitely taken some things, and then, like I said, the thing I think I made up my own and that separates me from a lot of my competitors is our assessment process. It's very thorough, very thorough.
Is there a place where fitness gyms used to be and that you're trying to like bring it to a new place? Are you trying to like change the game, or you like how it is?
I think the main thing I do different is it's strictly supervised training programs in here. There's never an open gym hour. And this is because I don't want people loitering around. I want it to be a place where when you walk through the front door, it's work, it's business. And like I said, we take it very seriously. It's not, do we cut up? Sure. You know, I'm a funny guy. I like to think at times. But for the most part, you know, I respect people's time, and I ask them to respect mine, because I'm seeing, you know, my book of clients is huge right now. I don't think a lot of people would be able to handle it. And without my systems and my structure and having that culture of work, get in, get out, you know, I hope that they know it's very serious, you know, and that's what I think makes a gym a hardcore gym at the end of the day. I like to, that was always a big thing for me, was having a hardcore gym but keeping it clean, and I feel like that's what we've done here. You know, there's you got your big ones like Metroflex and some of the other big strength gyms, and they may be open membership, but there's still that element of just hanging out, and that they call it a tribe mentality within the gym. This isn't a tribe. This is work, and you know, you're hiring me for a service, and I'm going to provide it to the highest level I'm capable of. That's not to say I don't care. I try to get out there to anything that somebody does. You know, I'll drive down to Galveston for a powerlifting meet. I've flown across the country with Carlos. You know, I want to see everybody reach the highest level. You know, whether that be performance or just, you know, health, to maintain a busy lifestyle that I do care, but you know, break it down to basics. I'm here to help people get better and improve metrics that they hired me to improve.
Right.
I think that definitely shows with some of the people that we've seen you work with, like Carlos, like you had mentioned him. Do you think that, or rather, how much do you think working with people like Carlos, like you said, you had MLB players, you have Division I athletes here, how much do you think when you take someone who already has that like kind of raw talent, what is your, I'm trying to think of the right word and I'm just too dumb to get it. When you approach it, how do you approach it?
So that's
when you have someone
that would be
already there.
Let me talk about what we do when somebody walks through the door. So when you walk through the door, and
because would this be that screening
yeah,
process?
this is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So as soon as somebody comes through the door, we have a 2-page assessment that we go through, and it'd be easier if I just read it straight down. So we start out, we do what I call a time audit. So we're going Sunday to Saturday. What are your obligations outside of training? And so this would be, I work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Okay, we're not training from 9 to 5. So this is finding times that are realistic for us to hit a workout on a weekly basis, because it can't just be a week by week thing. We're trying to game plan at least for the next month. Then we go over goal setting, and so that's where it's setting. Have you heard the term SMART goals? So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time bound. And so I'm trying to help people. If somebody wants to lose 100 pounds, I'm like, okay, well, let's assign a timeline to losing 100 pounds. It's not going to be 1 month. Right. But setting some specific goals in a shorter time frame, so we can set it, within a month. We want to lose 2 to 3 pounds a week. Let's go on the low end of that. We want to lose 8 pounds in a month. So if we're losing 8 pounds a month, I'm not a math guy, but I think about 12. That's about a year, right? Yeah. Right. So it's like you're just being realistic with people when they walk through the door. Mm-hmm. I will not sell somebody something that I cannot provide.
Right.
So making sure that if a parent comes in here and their kid's on the freshman C team, I'm not going to tell them they'll be on varsity next year.
Right.
I can tell them I can improve metrics that I can analyze. I can make them jump higher. I can make them faster. What they do on the court is up to them.
Yeah.
And that's where it turns into training versus working out. It's, we're in here with a purpose. There has to be a purpose to a program, or I'm useless. I won't take somebody through a workout. I don't do that. That's why if anybody works with us, even in a group setting here, they're going to go through this. And then we talk about their training injury history, nutrition supplementation, recovery, making sure they're sleeping. Then we go joint by joint from the ground up. So we're looking at the ankle, the knee, the hip, the spine, the shoulder, the elbow, the wrist, the neck, everything, seeing how they move. And it's how you're talking about if I get an elite athlete, and you'd be surprised, a lot of these guys, Carlos included, very tight in certain muscles. Almost all boxers, their shoulders, they're stuck in this internal rotation. Alexis, we've talked about him earlier, he's just stuck in that clench position. And that's where, they don't need me to hold their hand when they run 10 miles, but they need me with help mobilizing their joints so they can have longevity in their sport. And that's, again, there has to be a purpose. And that purpose could be improving mobility. That everybody comes here for themselves, and I work with a lot of individual sport athletes in addition to team athletes, and it's, you want to be able to perform, and if you can't move, you can't perform. But we do that. Then we just go through some movement screening of fundamental movement patterns. From there, I've created a blueprint of an individual as an athlete, or, if it's general population, if they have low back pain, why is that low back pain happening? And from there, we can, again, set those SMART goals with a timeline and something realistic for them to achieve. And that is what saves my face at the end of the day, because I'm not going to tell somebody you can lose 100 pounds in a month. Again, it's going to be just letting them know how long it's going to take to do what they want to do and how I would approach it. And then from there, we get into the program. Most of the time.
Right. And so, with the big gym culture, did that kind of change with, working at these, these big gyms to where it's like, did you ever feel like you were making, kind of trying to sell these things that you didn't agree with? You can lose 100 pounds in a month versus, no, realistically.
No. The main reason I left the big gyms is I felt I was undervalued as an employee. I did a lot and gave a lot of my time to the last gym I was at, and I got looked over for promotions that, it was really just a title. But at the time, it meant a lot to me. In hindsight, I think it's silly. But I left because I felt undervalued and a little bit of greed. I started to see the money I can make if I cut the gym out. And I think every trainer reaches a point if you're doing it full time. I didn't talk about the first 5 years of training. And this is actually how I got into combat sports. I was working as a bouncer. So I would train all day, and then I worked over in Midtown and then off Washington. I was getting into a bunch of scraps, and I wanted to be more efficient in just defending myself, because people were just throwing sucker punches. So I just wanted to learn how to block stuff. I'm not trying to beat anybody up. And that's actually how I really got into it and kind of ran with the combat sports. But yeah, I didn't want to do that. I didn't
Right.
want to work all day seeing clients, and working all day seeing clients when you're starting out is you're going to have somebody at 5 a.m., at 8 a.m., at 2 p.m. Maybe you have a 5 and a 6 p.m. Like you're just in and out of the gym all day.
Right.
You're only getting paid when you're training people, and I wouldn't have been able to live off. And I always thought I was doing well. I was one of the busier guys at every gym I was at.
Right.
But it wasn't an income that I felt I could live off of, and maybe my lifestyle was too frivolous. But yeah, I started bouncing, and because I realized I'm like, shoot, I'm already out at the bar. I might as well work here.
And you can get free drinks, right? And so it makes even more sense.
But
Like,
yeah, I was in that nightlife. I would be. There were nights I'd be at the bar, close up because we had to lock up all the chairs outside and stuff. I'd get home at 3:30 a.m.
Yeah.
and then have a 5 a.m. session. So I would get home, eat, go to the gym. And yeah, I did that for 5 years, and I think the main reason I left the big gyms is because I couldn't do that anymore. Like I was just so burnt out. There were periods I was doing that and going to school. Like I was bouncing, working in the gym, and going to school, and I learned how to manage my time really well. And then once I learned how to manage my time, just because I personally had so many obligations, I started to see how inefficient the gym was, and I could do this better. I felt like I could do it better, and you know, now I'm here, and I'm very grateful for every step along the way. They all taught me something, but the main reason I left was just I felt like I was spread so thin, and I was only getting a chunk.
Right.
Like whereas now at least I'm spread thin, but I'm getting the whole pie.
Right. Yeah. So it's definitely working out then. So,
Yeah.
So like one of the things I did want to ask you though is like, how did you come about working with? Because I know you work with all types of athletes. So I know that right now there's a big presence of combat sports athletes that you're working with as well.
Yes.
And so how did that come about?
Okay, so it actually started when I first opened the gym. We were a little bit further down the road. I really wanted to have some professional athletes in the gym just for marketing.
Yeah.
So I remember going on Instagram and I looked up the Rockets roster, and I'm like, let me hit up the lower level guy, like the guys that not everybody knows. Nobody hit me back. Texans, Astros. I went deep into this. This was hundreds of DMs I sent just to athletes. Just like, hey, come try a free week of workout. I was just gonna train them for free. And just like, hey, let me post you on Instagram. And nobody bit. And then who did I run across? Somebody broke my car window. I was getting my car window replaced right here, and he owned a boxing gym, Joseph Rivera. He owns 713 Boxing Gym.
Okay.
And he was like, hey, my son's a professional boxer. You think you could help him? And I'm like, yeah, we can do something with that. And I started driving out there. So I would drive out to 713 Boxing Gym, train their pros. And I'm just, I wasn't making a lot of money doing it. I might have covered my gas to get out there. But yeah, I wasn't charging very much. And it was Joseph Rivera was the first boxer I worked with. He was professional. We still work with 713. I train his younger brother. He should have a pro debut within a year or so. He's really good. And they've got Hector Garcia. He'll be on the LT Gray card.
Okay.
He's been working with us as well.
The April 30th one?
Correct, yes. So I've been working with 713 was the first gym. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. I tried to make sure to go to all the events where I had fighters at and, pass out cards. I mean, that's how I got Carmen Vargas. She's coming this evening. I just gave her my card after her fight in Galveston. That was when Carlos was on that card as well. Yeah. And, yeah, man, I'm just out there brushing shoulders and passing out business cards still.
We see you.
Yeah. That's how we met you. So we're doing the same exact thing. Yeah. So you're really good at networking, though. Like, it's really impressive how good you are.
I try, man. Yeah. The reason I lost all fear of rejection was actually go back to LA Fitness. So when I was working at LA Fitness, this was when I was just selling memberships. We had to get 20 leads a day, and it was an impossible task. And so I went to Rice Village. They would tell us to do this. We'd go to Rice Village. I'm wearing my LA Fitness shirt, have a bunch of guest passes and a clipboard. And they're like, oh, just pass out guest passes till they kick you out. And I was like, till who kicks us out? They're like, the security guard. He's like, he can't do anything. And so every day, Monday through Friday, we just go walk around Rice Village. People were shopping, passing out guest passes. And I very quickly was just like, you know what, on to the next one, on to the next one. Every
Right.
no leads me closer to a yes, and just took that approach to it. And yeah, I lost all fear of rejection with that job.
Right. Yeah, that's why I used to work in sales. I
Yeah.
did AT&T optic fiber cable, and it was terrible. Like I
Do
was
like
like,
door to door though.
we would go like business is
Business,
business.
business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it was
no.
like, man, no, we did that. I think I did that for like a week, and then I called Zach like the same day I quit. I was like, yeah, I'm not going back.
Yeah,
So I
that's
would, yeah, it was
it's
horrible.
you got to have a certain type of personality to do it. And,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a pretty personable guy, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went out there with no fear of rejection.
Right.
You know, it's like, this is my job. I'm just talking to people.
Yeah, and that's why I think one of the things they told me, because they have to critique you, your trainers, and they're like, you're really good at talking to people, you know, but you know, it comes to actually getting to your sales pitch. I'm like, dude, fuck that sales pitch. Like, it's not gonna work, man. And so, but so I know that you're kind of really starting to break ground into the Houston scene of strength and conditioning, and you're really opening a lot of doors for these athletes as well. Now, when it comes to really creating a relationship with these guys, I know that you and Carlos are really close. So, like, I guess, you know, you're becoming like a big brother for these guys because you don't just look out for their health, but you look out for them as a person as well. And so,
Yeah, I just think at the local level of boxing here, it's pretty cut and dry
Right.
about how the promotions run. Y'all have been to enough of them, and I think they all do a great job. I love going out to them. I think some fighters can get stuck in these local promotions and just not make it out of Houston, and that's why whenever somebody comes through the door, again, when we go through that assessment process, you know, I'm asking, you know, what are your aspirations in the sport? And some people are, you know, I'll keep winning. Some people, like Carlos, was they want world championships.
Yeah.
And you know, I've got a bunch of people in here that nobody in the city has ever heard of, but they want to be world champions, and I wholeheartedly believe they can be.
right.
And you know, I got a guy, Devin Thorne, that Coach Dom here works with, and just athletic freak, hasn't had his debut yet. Nobody knows who he is.
Yeah.
You know, not a ton of amateur experience, but these guys are. I have
he
a
a
lot
boxer?
of high. I have a lot of high level guys that haven't had their debut yet, and that's, you know, it started as just, oh, it's cool, let me post Joseph on Instagram, and I love Joseph and all the 713 guys, but now it's, I want world championships.
Right.
So it's, you know, if I can play my small part in helping somebody get to that level, that's what I care about, and I feel like it's a numbers game, and we have a stable of very capable athletes in here. So I'm excited to see where everybody goes in the next 2 to 3 years. And you know, I've gotten a little more particular about who I'll take in here too. So the caliber of fighter continues to elevate, and I think the sport's continuing to grow as well. And I'm excited about MMA too. You know, we've got Mia Graw, the young female. She's killing it. She just did submissions on the shore and just had a win there. And then she's fighting. Her first Fury amateur fight is April. It's 10th or 11th. And then she'll probably go pro pretty soon as well. A lot of people I'm excited about, and like I said, I support everybody. You know, I got guys that do trail running. Like I said, we got baseball, lacrosse, football, rugby. We got all types of sports. At the professional level, it's definitely more fighters in here though. Yeah, and I again take it very seriously, and I think everybody that's in here takes it very seriously too.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely an important part, is taking it seriously. At what point do you ever see a part where someone's here at a workout, or just they've been here over the course of like a few months, and what would be a time for them to kind of cut back and relax a little bit? You're like, hey, you need to start having fun with this again.
I think some of them enjoy the work. That's fun, and I would never discourage anybody. But again, it's calculated. And how we talked about there's phases. We call deload weeks, where there's a week we're just doing body weight, stretching, taking it real light. Like especially after a fight, I'll tell them don't come for a week. You know, It's not to say there's no rest. I take a very sub-maximal approach. We don't go all out unless it's planned, and it's, you know, especially with the fighters, we're tapering. You know, it's usually a 12-week, we peak, we come down, we peak, we come down, and then we plan to peak on fight night. So, you know, it's always just training not just the body but the central nervous system for the demands of, whatever their activity may be. And if it's a fight, you want them to be able to give up, as close to 100% multiple times for however many rounds. And the training is gonna, taper so that they're gonna be capable on fight night. We're not beating them up. It's not as hardcore as some of the stuff you'll see on Instagram. We're not training to complete fatigue often. Not to say we don't take it there, but again, it's calculated.
Yeah.
And I think we can make a lot more progress in that 70 to 90% effort than if we were to visit 100% every day. And I like there's a guy, George St. Pierre's trainer, actually, Faraz Sahabi.
Right.
And he uses, because this is all the Russian methods. I'm doing the same stuff here. But it's sub-maximal training. And he uses the example of pull-ups. And he's, if you can do 10 pull-ups and you do 10 pull-ups on Monday, you're going to be fried for the rest of the week. But if you do 5 pull-ups Monday through Friday, you're going to have done more than twice the work of the guy that did 10 pull-ups on Monday. And so I take that approach.
Right.
It's sub-maximal and intentional.
Okay. And I'm going to guess you're the one that gave Carlos the George St. Pierre book.
I was
right?
about to ask about that.
Yeah, because Zach has that book.
Yeah.
George St. Pierre is like my idol fighter. He is the greatest of all time.
I agree. I agree.
And then all of his trainers, he always had the best trainers. He always had like Phil Nurse. He was with John Danaher before anyone heard about those guys. He was with Phil Nurse, John Danaher, Greg Jackson, Faraz Zahabi. Faraz Zahabi's brother is in the UFC now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Just like you said, everything's very calculated with them, and that's what it's always a mental approach before they start getting physical with things. And I've always really liked that.
Yeah.
Because it's
there's a zen aspect to
Yeah.
training, and that's something I'm trying to get better at myself too. But it's because I didn't mention I did a strongman, right? I guess I'm planning to do another one. I've done strongman and powerlifting at a pretty high local level. I haven't made it out of Texas yet, but I placed in a handful of shows, and I'm planning to get back into that. But that's just everything you got in the tank and then rest a little bit. Everything you got in the tank, rest a little bit. And I'm doing the opposite of that with almost everybody else. So with the exception of what I said, the demands of the sport, and in the case of strongman, it's just go all out and then rest, go all out then rest.
Did you see the half Thor Bjornsson
Yeah, I
and
did.
Eddie Hall fight?
Thor looked pretty fundamental out there.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. He moves really
Eddie
well.
looked like a slob up there, man. I hope he doesn't hear this, but yeah,
I'm
Thor
sure he's
was
heard it
fundamental
plenty.
boxing,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
It was
wasn't bad.
cool to see them both go out there and actually box. Like obviously Eddie Hall didn't look as structurally sound as Thor
He
did.
had torn
but
a bicep, I think, a year previous, and I don't know if that's he looked a little silly out there.
But it was cool to see them both go out there and box. Like they didn't just go out there and throw their hands around. They went out there and boxed, and it was pretty
and
solid.
anybody that's done a boxing workout, 6 rounds is no joke.
It's rough.
They were out. They put on what they call it Titan weight. Yeah, I'd like to see them run it back. It was a spectacle, man. It was a spectacle.
Yeah. And that's why it was crazy watching Thor just move around as well as he did. I was like, dude, there's no way you're like fucking 6'10", almost 6'10", moving like that.
The mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Oh yeah,
I freaking love Game of Thrones.
And so, like, even watching Eddie Hall, though, so, like, the way he was throwing his right, like, he had been training for that. Like, I saw some pad footage with him. And then I know Joe Rogan had spoke out about it. He's like, yeah, no, Eddie Hall's going to get knocked out. And Eddie Hall was pissed about that. Like, responded to him on social media and everything. I was like, God, man.
I mean, he had dropped Thor, right? In one of the
They
rounds.
both dropped each other.
Yeah.
They were throwing down. They were trying to knock each other out.
They both dropped each other. But Thor actually kept his hands up, stayed in the stance. I was
all that
impressed.
training he used to do with
I really
Connor.
would have bet on Eddie before they went in there. Just because he was just he's like a diesel mechanic. I think he worked the door in England over there too, man. Yeah.
It's crazy, dude, too, because you see Eddie Hall, he's like 6'3", and he's able to do all the same exact things these guys that are just like Brian Shaw, they just tower over him.
He was a swimmer. That was his background. He was
Really?
a really high-level swimmer. Yeah. Anyway, he's
not
still,
know that.
if you go on YouTube and you can see him, he's still massive. There's videos of him swimming recently, and it's just
Really?
crazy because he's
That's
humongous,
nuts.
but he just cuts through the water.
Yeah. I'd be so scared.
That's why I was like, he's an athlete, but hey, got it. Thor was the better boxer that night.
Yeah, that's what, man, I got really into when the pandemic hit. I would watch The World's Strongest Man in History like every night before. Like,
oh yeah, that's where they were doing the different like they moved the stones across the bridge.
Yeah, stuff like that.
one, yeah.
It was like him. It was Eddie Hall, Brian Shaw, Nick Best, and what's his name? I can't remember his freaking name. He was on JRE at one point. And,
Bobby Thompson, I think,
It might have been him, yeah.
the deadlift guy.
Yeah, and I was watching all those guys like this shit's insane, dude. But it's funny because they're all a bunch of kids that just mess around the
Oh
whole
yeah,
time.
man.
Like every episode you watch, like Nick Best almost dies in every episode, and I'm like, this is just fucking.
No, I
pure
remember watching
entertainment.
that series. That was a good one.
Yeah, so it's something that I don't know. I got really into that because my dad has always been in powerlifting and like stuff like that, and also with like even with bodybuilding as well. Something that I can remember like for years he would just have magazines stacked up from like bodybuilding magazine, and so that's how I knew who like Ronnie Coleman was at a really early age. That guy's freaking jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Jake.
What do you think about Mark? I think his name's Marcus Felix. Do you know
Mark
him?
Felix, the strongman.
Yeah.
He's good.
I freaking love that dude.
Yeah,
That
the
dude
guy.
is
He's like
awesome.
the grip guy. He has insane grip. Yeah.
He did the Hercules hold. I think that was like the first time I had seen him, and I was like, this freaking 50-year-old man's going out there beating
he's a
the
beast.
mountain.
Yeah, he's a beast.
It was intense.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago. Yeah, yeah, he's definitely a little older in the sport, but yeah. Legacy.
He just recently did one. What was it? I can't remember what it was. You do a different set of deadlifts. You move to the next one. I think
Like
is
a
what
medley.
it was.
Yeah,
and then he had gotten second, but like just barely. And it was really just one lift that he tried to move a little too quick on. He had to readjust, and just because of that, like he couldn't catch back up. But he was so close to beating all those younger dudes, like twice his size. It was intense. It's so fun to watch, though. I like him. I think he's fun to watch.
Yeah, we had a strongman competition here 2 years ago, and we had one of the guys. He was the world's strongest man competitor, Gabriel Pena from the Valley, and then there's another guy. He wasn't here, but from Beaumont, Trey Mitchell, and he's really good too. He's young. I think he's 25, 26. But yeah, Texas has some high level strength sports. For strongman at the amateur level, Texas is the most competitive. Like they have the most competitions and the strongest competitions. We have a pretty good. In Houston, it's great. There's a bunch of gyms that specialize in it. I just never wanted to be, the strongman gym.
Right.
Yeah.
I like to work with a broad array of sports.
That's what my cousin went to school with. This guy, I can't remember his name, but he's about like 25 now, and he's competing like state level. He went to Deer Park. He's from Deer Park, Texas. He's competing at like pretty much like state level competition with strongman right now.
Garrett Payne.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know Garrett.
And so that's what I talked to my cousin about him because they play football together.
Okay.
And he's like, nah, man, he's actually a really freaking nice guy, and he's like,
Yeah, he went to small world. He went to A&M Galveston with my younger brother.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Garrett. I've competed with him a couple of times.
Yeah. So I've never met him, but he has some good things to say about him as well.
He's a nice guy.
Yeah. And so when it comes to, I guess, like what, like I know you mentioned Faraz a hobby. Like, is there anybody else that kind of helps with your mentality of how you go about training your athletes here?
What, specific to combat sports or?
Well, just in general.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Louis Simmons West Side. I follow. There's a guy in New Jersey, Joe DeFranco.
Mm-hmm.
He actually trained Brian Cushing from the Texans, but he's up there in New Jersey. So I did one of his workshops. I really liked the way he split it up. It was called CPPS, Certified Physical Preparation Specialist, and so I actually got to go with them out to Orlando. We went to the WWE. Performance Center. Yeah, it was awesome, man. So we did a workshop there. I got to see all the practice rings and all that. So the director of the Performance Center out there, he was a strength and conditioning coach for the Texans, Sean Hayes.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a small, at a high level, it's a small network of strength coaches. So Dustin Branchow, he's up in Michigan. He trains Michaela Mayer up there. He's also working with Troy Isley, and we've all just kind of taken from the same lineage of strength coaches, and then there's books you have to read. Verchinsky's Super Training, and then Applied Strength Science. Like there's just books we've all read. We all listen to a lot of the same people. I like Mike Boyle. He's up there. He was a strength coach for the Red Sox, and then he was the strength coach for the women's hockey team, the U.S. women's Olympic hockey team. And in mainstream, I don't keep up with a lot of the like influencers and stuff. No, I try to put. That's why I started my podcast. I'm trying to put just actionable information out there. Not, I think there's too much of doing it for the gram
Right.
in fitness especially, but even in strength and conditioning. I think people are getting away from fundamental things that they probably do with their clients and just posting the stuff that is just so off the wall.
Yeah.
They're hopping off of this onto that, catching that, doing a flip. That's not how you train somebody, especially a fighter, because these guys are just beating their bodies to
Yeah.
crap in all the other training outside of here. So that's where it's finding a strength and conditioning program that is supplemental to the training they're already doing. And I'd argue MMA fighters have it the worst of anybody, because I mean, you got to be so multifaceted. You're wrestling or doing jiu-jitsu, and then you're boxing or doing Muay Thai, and then you're running on top of that before
Right.
you even think about touching a weight. And so you got to do 3 workouts before you think about that 4th one. It needs to be calculated, and that's where like these people jumping and hopping and skipping around on Instagram, that's not the reality of how you would train an elite athlete. It's going
Right.
to be balance, it's going to be core stability, and then it's going to be just explosive efforts in a safe way. That you
Yeah.
shouldn't be doing too much. In my opinion, you shouldn't be doing too much of that stuff,
Right.
especially with a guy that potentially has some big money deals down the road. The last thing you want to hear is, oh, he was in the gym and fell and broke his leg, and he's never going to perform in his sport again.
So happened to Cain Velasquez.
I was gonna say you should never look up Tony Ferguson. That's all he does. Is all the weird
Oh,
stuff.
his training, yeah,
That's-
yeah. No,
it's
and there's a
nothing
lot
but
of
that.
people. There's a lot of elite athletes that do it too.
But then he trips over a cable inside and like tears himself up and has to cancel his fights.
He just tripped over a simple like wire cable like that was hooked up to a mic and tore his LCL.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But I'm saying stuff like you want to minimize. Yeah, I'd argue, or not even argue, just it's a fact. The number one goal of strength and conditioning is injury prevention.
Yeah.
So why would you put your athlete in a vulnerable position
Right.
in the gym? And that's the approach I take. And we do some cool jumping and stuff, but it's safe. I'm
Yeah.
right behind them. If they're gonna fall, I'm gonna catch them.
You're
They're
right.
gonna fall on these soft foam boxes. Everything we do everything to mitigate the risk of the movements that we do in here.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned. Cain Velasquez. So his personal trainer had gotten a bunch of shit because at one point they show him going through his workout and he's doing like just a leg press and it's just on the machine and the trainer would put it all the way at the bottom on the
Yeah.
highest weight. He's like, yeah, we do this every day. It's good for Cain. And then eventually Cain got into even his last fight when he got knocked out. He both his legs like folded and they couldn't handle the weight of him falling and he fucked up both of his knees. And then he had such a bad back injury that he was gonna fight a rematch against Fabricio Verdum, and they said his back was so bad that he couldn't stand for more than 15 minutes. And they're like, what happens if it's a championship fight? It's going 5 rounds. What happens if you make it outside that 3rd round? What are you gonna do there?
I believe it, man. There's a lot of that at an even higher level than that, man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nonsense in the weight room, and I only have control over what happens in mine.
Right.
And I think that's the reason people drive from all over to come here.
Yeah.
Yeah. With some of the people that come here, we have Carlos who's fighting tonight. You have Jordan who's fighting tomorrow. Or I'm sorry, again, I said that earlier. It's Sunday. Who else do you have that's got some stuff coming up that you want to talk
Mia
about?
fights again
Her Fury.
April 11th. Ivan Vasquez, Jose Arredondo out of Aztlan. They're planning to get y'all have seen Ivan fight.
Yeah.
I mean, very exciting. Very smart fighter.
Yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about watching him
Yeah.
fight is he's so smart. It's a lot like I was talking about with Oliver and how like precise his striking is. Ivan's the same way with his boxing.
Yeah, so I'd love to see them. They both have been working out as if they're going to take something in the next 5 to 6 weeks. So there's the April 30th and then the May 5th with Termite. That's actually in Pasadena.
Okay.
And I think everybody's just waiting for that last minute call. Alexis, I don't know where he's at, but he told me he wants to fight soon. Who else do we have? Carmen, she's trying to get ready May 5th as well. We have one of the guys he's working with, Josue Salazar. He's planning to go May 5th as well. He's 1-0. I think that's it for right now. Jalen. Oh, Jalen's on April 30th. Jalen Stanley. He's a beast. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I introduced y'all to him
Yeah.
when we were down
Yeah,
in...
I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah. Oh, he's a monster. Yeah, I'm excited about him. Yeah, just... He came here stronger than everybody. you
Yeah.
know? Again, he's... so this will be his first... this will be his USA debut. He's
Oh, okay,
taken...
cool.
He had 1 fight in Mexico and 2 in Colombia.
Mhm.
So he hasn't fought here. Very excited about him. Yeah, that's April 30th as well. He's on the El Tigre card.
That's the one in Conroe, right?
Yeah, he's a super middleweight, 168, but just monster. Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel
that's-
bad for whoever's going in there with him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that list of people is just a lot of like top level talent. They just have to get their way
Yeah, it's
to the public eye.
It's just getting out there.
Yeah,
and
it's going to happen with the kind of talent they have.
Oh,
like
yeah.
like Carlos, even with Alexis, everybody knows Alexis for a reason. Like he's not
Yeah.
just a fun guy; he's a very talented Muay Thai fighter.
Oh, absolutely. Muay Thai is just there haven't been events.
Yeah,
Just,
there's
I
just-
think they had their second one a
Yeah.
few weeks back, right at the Booker T.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they have
yeah,
that one.
yeah.
There's Jonathan Harris who started up the Texas Muay Thai Championship, and he's trying to get the regional scene kind of going here because I think he's tired of not having Muay Thai fights here. So he's working on that, and I would imagine once he's gotten everything up to and going, I would imagine Alexis will be able to
Yeah, no,
get there as much as he wants.
Always excited to see him, man. I've been with him the last 3 of his fights, and it's been him taking B-side short notice. So
Yeah,
I'd love to see him get one with a full camp. You know, he's a very hard worker, and he, as you guys know, just breathes combat.
Yeah.
Sleeps it too, I'm sure. But yeah, that's the big ones. I'd say Mia, Jalen, and then the guys this weekend. I'm sure Carlos is gonna handle business down
Yeah.
there. Poutine, we're excited. He has a good matchup. So Poutine is a purple belt jiu-jitsu, and then he trains boxing as well. And I think he's matching up with a like boxing, and the guy's a wrestler, I believe.
Okay.
So it's an interesting style matchup for him. He's got momentum coming off his last. He had the rear naked choke.
yeah.
His last one, quickly and dominantly. So
Yeah, they had streamed that one on Facebook, I think.
yeah, so they swung his. So he was.
Oh, okay. I
he
was about to say I
supposed
missed
be,
it.
He was supposed to be prelim, and then I guess with the schedule, because Fury's working with UFC Fight Pass, they had to push the other prelims that they didn't get to the end of the fight. So we were wondering what was happening, but I had messaged with I think it was with his wife, and she told me no, they're gonna do it after. So
Okay.
as soon as the main card ended, they went back to Facebook and did the stream, and he was the first or the second one of that.
Because I was at work and I was watching it.
They were
And
warming
I
up,
didn't
man.
see
So
it.
he was warming up. I think he was supposed to be the fight right before they were like, "Hey, no, we got to start the main card."
Oh, okay.
So
That makes sense.
Yeah, he got warm then got cold, but no, he handled business out there. Excited about him. But yeah, he's a hard worker, man. He has 2 barber shops. I know he's doing music now too. He's a busy guy, man.
Yeah.
Busy guy, real nice guy.
And Carlos has tried the music. He's told me about that.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
No, he told me about like an MGK type style.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
MGK.
Yet to hear it, man. We went to a karaoke bar.
He's
I dragged him
sent
out
me
when
a
we were
couple
in LA,
songs.
and he wouldn't sing though.
Oh, he wouldn't. He's shy. He's a shy guy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. We'll kind of start to come to a close. What
Sure.
else you got going on with Houston Strength?
I'm calling myself a content creator. I'm trying to bring it to fruition. So, yeah, I'm on YouTube. We have I built out a pretty good database of just exercise form videos that I feel is not getting the views it deserves. But I basically did a bunch of exercises that I feel like a lot of people do, common exercises, and just did 12-second videos of how I would do it, like good form. And I've worked on building out programs with those videos. So not only do we have the in-person services, I have a few 12-week programs I've written that are all accessible via HoustonStrength.com. We use the Train Heroic platform. So they're based out of Denver, and it's a mobile app. I'm not a mobile app developer, so I found somebody else that did it well. And I have all of my online training. So we have community programming as well that's updated weekly, where that's the cheapest option. It's $49 a month, where you can just follow the workouts. That's what I actually follow myself. So I usually am switching that up every 3 months. And then just our in-person services, man. I mean, tried and true. We've been doing this. I've been doing it for 13 years. Jim's been going for 7. I like to think one of the best in the city, if not the best at what we do for certain populations. And I don't plan on going anywhere.
Yeah. With your podcast, do you have anything coming up with the podcast?
I try to do it bi-weekly on the podcast, and I want to expand my setup to like what you guys have right now. I'm limited. I just am going off a USB mic, so I need to get the mixer and stuff. I'd love to get some guests on and definitely revisit talking to you guys.
Sure.
But just trying to stay diligent with doing it every 2 weeks. That's the point I'm at with that.
Right.
I don't have a clear path to where I want to take that, but other than spreading, like I said, actionable information on strength and conditioning to everybody, because I think there's just a lot of junk out there.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Well, yeah. You have any social media handles you want to throw
we're
out?
Houston Strength on everything, man. I think on Facebook we're
I thought
the
so, too.
Houston Strength. But yeah, Instagram Houston Strength. We have a Twitter. I don't do it. Spotify Houston Strength podcast, and then on Facebook it's facebook.com/the Houston Strength, or you can just go to houstonstrength.com, and all those links are on the website. But yeah, again, appreciate y'all's time and driving
Appreciate
out
you coming on.
to the Mecca.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you for having us again.
Yeah. Make sure to give him a follow. It's going to be worth it. Make sure to follow all the different journeys that all his people are working on. Like you talked about, Mia, Jordan, Jalen, Carlos, Alexis, Ivan. All these people are fantastic athletes. So make sure to follow him and then follow them and what they can do.
Appreciate you.
That's good. And our equipment, our setup's nothing great.